Moving on to the Opie and Anthony stuff. You have gotten to, and this has got to be kind of just a weird ride for you because you've gotten now to talk to a lot of the people who were in and around and players in this world that you were a fan of and gotten to hear some kind of behind the scenes stuff. That's got to be pretty wild.
It's the most surreal thing ever. Like, I actually interviewed Anthony Cumia.
Oh.
And it was a fucking disaster.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because I remember his brother Joe and his former producer Keith the Cop.
Yeah.
I'd been speaking to over Facebook and stuff, and they helped set it up. And I was thinking, like, well, maybe one day. And then Keith said, yeah, Anthony can do it in about 20 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck? Are you kidding? And I was so nervous that I forgot to put my fucking headset in. I didn't have the mic set up.
Oh, no.
I'm just talking directly into the onboard computer mic. And I had like a big anxiety shit beforehand, and it was insane. And I've been desperately trying to get his attention for another one. He used to follow me on Twitter, but that was about 4 or 5 accounts ago.
Yeah, that was one of the other boss accounts.
Yeah, so it's a shame, but Anthony's fucking he will go down, I think, as the all-time greatest radio/podcast host that there's ever been. I don't think he'll obviously never be as legendary as Stern, but right. I think that the Ant-Man is number one.
Yeah, I mean, when I started doing this show on YouTube, and I told you when we were talking about setting this up, I said, I've been so heavily influenced by Opie and Anthony, I can't fucking escape it, to the point where I've listened to so much Anthony Cumia, it's like been burned into my personality. Like, I can't, it's the influence is so strong there. When I first started on YouTube, people went, oh, is this guy doing an Anthony Cumia impression? And I'm like, no, this is just how I fucking talk now. Like, I can't help it. And I can't help but think it's just from years and years of being a fan of that show that it's a heavy influence. And the guy is, I mean, he is that good. I mean, Ron Bennington in that Compound episode where he had that fight with Colin Flaherty, I think Ron Bennington nailed it when he said Anthony Cumia at one time was one of the funniest people in the entire country.
Yeah, no, I think that there's a famous Opie and Anthony where the guest for the day was Louis C.K., Jim Florentine, Nick DiPaolo, and Patrice O'Neill. And Anthony's the guy who's controlling the room.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's fucking insane.
Right. You're in there with the funniest men alive.
But the thing that makes it even funner is when you listen back to it, Opie's silence says everything. Like, he's fucking furious.
Right, but, and you know, this is getting into the Opie part of Opie and Anthony because we have nothing but nice things to say about Anthony, which is fucking boring. So let's get into the guy who's easily shit-onable, and that would be Opie. You know, Howard Stern, I've said this about him. You mentioned Howard. We'll talk about him in a second. But I see Howard as a more successful, more self-secure, self-confident version of what Opie could have been. Howard was surrounded by very funny characters, and he was the ringleader, and he made it all go. Opie could have had that role, but for some reason, I don't know, what is it? He got jealous of his own creation because he would not be comfortable with the role he'd made for himself.
Yeah, Opie has what I would refer to as James Corden-itis.
Oh.
And that's a medical term for an obsession with being considered funny.
Oh, I was going to say, it's James Corden-itis is terminal.
Yeah, you don't want to catch it.
No.
And the thing is, it's like if you look at Jason Alexander, he played this incredible character on the greatest sitcom of all time. But Jason Alexander is not even slightly funny as a person.
Right.
But he doesn't get it that it was Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David producing this show. He thinks, no, I'm part of a group that's funny, therefore I'm funny. It's like, well, no, it's like, put it like this. If you look at Metallica, Kurt Hammett's known for being this amazing guitarist. Lars Ulrich doesn't go, yeah, so am I. It's like, well, no.
Right.
You're in a group with someone who's an amazing guitarist. You're a great drummer. And I think that's the problem with Opie, that he stopped wanting to be the host and he started wanting to be funny.
Right.
And you either can or you can't. Like, that's like saying, I want to be taller. It's
yeah.
Like, you can't.
You're just not. Like, you noticed these guys. You noticed, like, the talent they had, where they belonged. You put them in this spot. That's an admirable spot. That's a nice spot that you're in. That's a great role that you filled. That thing could not have gotten to where it was without you. But then when it got there, again, like, you just got jealous of it.
Yeah, and then Opie's thing, he couldn't come up with one-liners and puns and stuff. But what he could do is more like the sort of the shocking, mean-spirited stuff.
Right.
And while it was funny, I'm not going to be like, oh, I never laughed at all. Like when he smashed the wooden instrument guy, and then when he stomped on the cake, and it's like at some points it's like the problem with mean-spirited jokes like that is they don't age well.
Right.
Like, witty's always going to be funny, but if we're like, hey, go pull their trousers down in public, while it's funny at the time, you start to realize, oh shit, this is actually kind of horrible.
Yeah, like the stomping on the homeless guy's cake thing. Like, in the moment, there's that shock laugh where we're all like, holy shit, I can't believe he did that. But then you're like, okay, that was the only thing that was keeping that guy alive today, or feeling like he had any purpose, was his fucking cake he was so proud of.
Yeah, and the guy, I remember them. They said that they gave the guy $100, and it's like, right, okay, but do you know how tough it is for homeless people to actually get inside food places?
Or like the $100, like that's life-changing money to a homeless guy. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys, it's going to take a lot more than that to make him whole.
Yeah, and plus, the problem with giving homeless people money is that they then become targets for other homeless people.
Oh, it's true.
So that guy may have get robbed or mugged, and it's a whole horrible situation. But so the moral of the story is, don't be homeless.
Right, exactly. Kids, work hard, stay in school, and listen to your parents, but not your dad. He's a cunt. Yeah, fuck him.
Unless your dad's Mike Tyson.
Unless your dad's Mike Tyson, then he'll fuck you if you get out of line. But the Opie thing, like, I thought the funny shock jockey type stuff that he did would like include like the phone hangups. I think is a very funny bit, and also like if a staff member would have like a donut or a cookie that they were really proud of, and he'd just grab it and he'd smash it on something. I'm like, now that's good, but he just. There's just that overreach. Like, he wanted to be more, but he didn't realize he was already part of more.
Yeah, I think I've heard E-Rock say in some interviews that on the air, weirdly, it's okay. Like, if we're making fun of each other, that's all right. But if I'm then texting you that stuff after the show,
yeah,
or if we're going out for like lunch and I'm still giving you shit, it's like, right, enough already. You don't need to fucking mess up my wedding day. But I will. Bad example.
Oh yeah, it's
but,
honeymoon. Yeah, the honeymoon thing where he gave out E-Rock's cell phone number. Did you remember that one?
Yes.
Opie called E-Rock's phone, and E-Rock had just gotten married. He was on his honeymoon in Florida, I think. And Opie let the fucking away message play that gave out E-Rock's phone number. So E-Rock had to change his number, stop what he was doing on his honeymoon, and change it all. And then that fucking cunt Opie gave him like, was it even $1,000 or something in coins to say he was sorry? And it's like, you fucking dick.
Yeah, like that. See, that's the sort of stuff where, but it also, and I know this E-Rock, I don't think ever got the full credit for the work that he had to do on a much smaller income scale than what Opie was making.
Yeah,
and at some points, that kind of shit can grate on you, where it's like I if you hate the guy you're working for. But I think that the karma of all that has really come back to bite Opie badly.
Yeah, I mean, he's nowhere.
And like, no, he can't get talking to anyone. He makes friends with people, and they die.
He does. Everybody dies. I was just going to say, like, E-Rock, you're right. He does deserve a lot of credit because that producer spot on the O&A show working with Opie has a body count to it. And E-Rock made it out alive.
Which is not what people would think when you look at E-Rock. God bless him.
God bless. I'm actually going to be talking to him in 2 days. Again, after Hughezy's already talked to him. He does seem like a really good guy.
See, the thing about E-Rock is that I don't want to overstep the boundaries with him. Because like he follows me on Twitter and we've DM'd like every couple of months, but I don't want to be tweeting him like, "Hey, do you want to come on the show again?
Yeah.
How about again?" Because it gets to the point where you don't want to, push your luck. But E-Rock's a real guy's guy where you can talk to him about all kinds of shit. You can do the funny shit, the geek culture stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's a perfect guest, but would you like to know something kind of dark about the Opie podcast? That's kind of crazy.
Now, did E-Rock work on that one?
No.
Okay. What's the darkness on that?
Well, Opie, of course, had two co-hosts on his podcast. It was called Ruiz and
Vic Henley.
Vic Henley.
Yeah.
I interviewed Vic Henley a couple of years ago, and he was like, and everybody, I've interviewed a lot of people when they're kind of high, when they're kind of drunk, but Vic Henley was fucked up to the point where I thought he's having a stroke or something.
Oh,
because he was like during the interview, his voice, he started like talking like that, and like his voice is like his mouth wasn't staying closed.
Yeah.
So I never released that episode because it was so bad. Oh. And then Vic Henley fucking died about 3 days later.
Shit. Hughezy, you could have helped him. He was dying. I mean, like Carlin said, I'm not saying that you're responsible for his death, but you didn't help.
Yeah. And then with Carl Ruiz, I'm supposed to interview him the week that he died too.
I'm not saying you're ever fucking asking for any reason. I'm never doing your channel.
Yeah. It was, that one was really surreal because I remember I'd made some type of joke on Twitter about Daft Punk.
Yeah.
Which Carl Ruiz, or whatever the fuck his name was, found it hilarious. And I can't remember even what I said. So he started following me. So I'm like, Carl, I know you're very busy and you get asked, and there's this Opie versus Anthony war going on, but I'd love to interview you. And he's like, yeah, sure. And then...
Oh, no. Oh, you're on a roll so far. I mean, Carl's still kicking. Pat Dixon's still there. Let's see, Vince Russo. Radio Gunk is still relatively new. You're still putting clips up from that one. So, I mean, they could croak. So,
although that's why I really, really want to interview Sam Roberts.
Before he dies?
No, so that he dies.
Oh, so that he does die. Oh, so I take it you're not a big fan of the Jim and Sam show.
No, you know what's so weird? I love Jim Norton, but I had to stop listening to that show because I love Jim Norton. It's fucking horrible. And I get why he's doing it because that's his main income source.
Yeah.
But it's fucking horrible. That it's that kind of thing where it's like, do you ever get where you love a band and it's like, right, I love Aerosmith, but Aerosmith up until 1997. After that, it's never existed.
Well, yeah, it's like we were talking about boxing earlier. I can't, like, sometimes I'll do it like out of a weird, perverse torture of myself, but I don't want to ever see Ali Holmes again. Because Muhammad Ali's getting the living dog shit beat out of him while he's got Parkinson's. That is kind of like, the Jim and Sam show. It's you're watching this guy where you're like, if I watch this, I have to shit on it, and I don't want to shit on that guy.
Yeah, because I see some people go, oh, well, Norton's not funny anymore, but when you see him on any other show, he's fucking hilarious.
Yep.
But it's just this, when you've got Sam Roberts, like if that's your foil, then nothing's like, you're not gonna have laughs. There's not gonna be any back and forth between the guys.
Yeah. Sam Roberts is a great example, though, of what can happen if you're just a good company man.
Yeah.
I mean, he said yes to. I mean, the movie Yes Man is like a documentary on Sam Roberts because he said yes. Sirius XM says, hey, you want to seg shitty pop songs? Sure. Hey, you want to do shows with women you shouldn't be doing shows with? Sure, I'll give it a shot. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, Opie and Anthony want to kill each other, and Opie just filmed his producer taking a shit. You want a morning show? And there it was.
Yeah, and that. But the thing that I just find so crazy about Sam Roberts is that he's not getting better.
No, he's peaked.
And you really should be like when I hear my early podcasts. Not that I'm fucking the greatest of all time, but when I hear the early podcasts, it's shockingly bad, and it's just full of dead air, and you can hear how nervous I am. But as it goes on, you start editing better, producing better. It just gets better. But with Sam Roberts, he's still day one intern shit.
Right. I mean, it's still the same gimmick of like, oh, I'm a shit stirrer. It's like, yeah, cool, you're 45, dude. It's not as funny as it used to be when you were, given, when you were a 24-year-old intern / producer, goofing on Scorch, who, by the way, I think about a lot more often than I should probably admit. I was just going to tell you, Scorch is a guy I want next on this fucking show. Hughezy and then Scorch. I think that's a hell of a lineup.
Yeah, he is he alive still?
Yeah, he's doing radio in Wisconsin. Yeah, I looked it up. I can get. Look, I'm not sitting here swinging my big 5,000 subscriber dick or anything, but I can get Scorch.
Hey, 5,000 subscribers, nothing to be ashamed of. I think the craziest thing about YouTube these days is it's a free service.
Yeah.
And it's the most difficult place to build up an audience ever.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing our show here for 5 months full time now, and we're up to 5,000. So, I mean, hopefully it just keeps going up. If I keep talking to the movers and shakers like Hughezy, I'll be there in no time.
That's pretty fucking good for 5 months, though.
Yeah, we're excited. We're fingers crossed. We just lost our most expensive sponsor today, but you know what? We'll power through.
Yeah, I work for this wrestling show called Keeping It 100, and that has actual wrestlers from the WCW days as hosts.
Yeah,
and for like the first 7 to 8 months, we couldn't get more than 300 subscribers, but now it's up to fucking 45,000. But it should be triple that, but we'll get there.
Well, that's great, man. That's very awesome. That's incredibly encouraging too.